Hey folks, Brian Anderson again. Welcome back to my channel. And we are continuing in our meditations on the book of Ephesians. We're in chapter 2. Last time we looked at verse 1, which talks about us being dead in our trespasses and sins. And today I want to look at verses 2 and 3. This is what it says. In which you formerly walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, of the spirit that's now working in the sons of disobedience. Among them we too all formerly lived in the lusts of our flesh, indulging the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, even as the rest. Now, verse 1, he says, and you were dead in your trespasses and sins. In verses 2 and 3, he unpacks that and helps us to understand more clearly and deeply what it actually means to be dead in trespasses and sins. And it means at least these things. We were shaped by this world, influenced by the devil, dominated by our flesh, and under the wrath of God. So let's look at each one of those. First of all, we are shaped by the world. The text says we formerly walked according to the course of this world. So what does he mean by the world? By the world, he means this world system that is in rebellion to God, that is not under submission to God, that is doing its own will. It has its own values, its own priorities, its own set of morals, and it is in opposition to God. And he says that we formerly walked, that means lived, according to the course of this world. We were shaped by the thoughts and opinions and values and morals and priorities of this world that we live in that is in rebellion to God. Next, he says you are influenced by the devil. He says, according to the prince of the power of the air. Not only did we walk according to the course of this world, but also according to the prince of the power of the air. That's just a designation for Satan, the devil. He is the prince of the power of the air. Jesus called him the ruler, prince, the ruler of this world. So we were influenced by the devil when we walked according to this world. That's why the people in this world have the opinions and morals and values and priorities that they do that are in opposition to God. It's because of the influence of the prince of the power of the air. And we were no different. We walked according to the course of this world, and we were shaped by and influenced by Satan. He was the one that was causing this world to have the values and priorities that it actually does. In fact, 1 John 5:19 says that the whole world lies in the power of the evil one. Now, we were unwittingly influenced by Satan. We didn't know it. We didn't realize that, but we were. He was whispering in our ear, and we were listening to him, and we were following his advice. He also says, of the spirit that is now working in the sons of disobedience. Another reference to Satan. He is the spirit now working in the sons of disobedience. Not only does God work in his saints, Satan works in his people. So the sons of disobedience, these are the same as in the next verse called the children of wrath. So this is speaking of all the unsaved people in the world. What's true about them? They're sons of disobedience, and the devil is influencing them. And the third thing we realize in this passage is that we used to be dominated by the flesh, because Paul goes on to say, among them we too all formerly lived in the lusts of our flesh, indulging the desires of the flesh and of the mind. So what are the lusts of the flesh? These would be the bodily appetites of the carnal man. It would include things like food, drink, sex, sleep. It would also include things like drugs, alcohol. Now, there's nothing wrong with food, drink, sex, or sleep. But when we take these things out of moderation and begin to live according to those desires of the body rather than to the will of God, they become sin. So there's nothing wrong with food, but if you overdo food, if you give yourselves to food, you become a glutton. There's nothing wrong with alcohol in and of itself, but if you are not moderate in your partaking of alcohol, you become a drunkard. There's nothing wrong with sleep, right? We all need sleep. But if all you ever do is lay around the house and sleep all day, you become a sluggard. So these are things that they're bodily appetites. They're lusts of the flesh. The world says if it feels good, do it. And we embraced that attitude at one time. If it felt good, we did it. But it's not the will of God. And then fourthly, Paul says here that these people are under God's wrath. He says, and we were by nature children of wrath, even as the rest. What does he mean? We were by nature children of wrath. What is it to be something by nature? It means according to the nature you were born with. Jesus said, that which is of the flesh is flesh. He means the nature that you were born with, you remain with, unless you were born again by the Holy Spirit. So we were by nature born into this world with a certain kind of nature, and that nature was to be a son of disobedience and a child of wrath. And because we were a son of disobedience, God's wrath was upon us. And we needed to be delivered from his wrath, and that's what salvation is all about. That's what the grace of God is in conversion. It saves us from wrath. Now, what a dismal picture. Would you agree with me? This is a pretty dismal picture. We were not only dead in trespasses and sins, we were influenced by the world or shaped by the world, influenced by Satan, dominated by our flesh, and under the wrath of God. It's sort of the picture of this huge storm rolling in with these black clouds, and there's thunder and lightning and pouring rain. It's terrible. But in verse 4, we're going to notice those black, dark clouds parting, and the sunshine of God's love and grace and mercy start to flow in, because it says, but God. And there's the whole difference right there, starting in verse 4. And we'll get into that one next time.